The reason why you have clicked on this video is probably because you're struggling at FC24. And don't worry, I'm going to help you improve. There are two things. There is mechanical skill gap and mental skill gap. We need to talk about both because there is a little mechanical skill gap when two players of equal ability are playing against each other. In that case, the mental skill gap differentiates those two players. And I am going to show you how you can improve even without touching the controller. You can improve almost instantly if you focus and follow my advice. But first, let's talk about the mechanics. Now, the game which you are watching isn't a perfect game from me. It is far from a perfect game. I was playing casually in Weekend League. I think it's a game for 11-0, alright elo, alright opponent. And I'll make many mistakes. But like I said, you will see me do one thing. I play this game to the play styles, knowing that what is going on in the game is very important. We know the play styles have been added to the game, but very rarely do I see people playing to the play styles. If you have long ball pass, if you have aerial, if you have rapid plus, then you need to use them and abuse them if you want to win more games. Yes, I use the word abuse them because some people will be triggered, guys. EA has made the game a certain way, so we have to play it a certain way to get more wins. That is the sad reality. Yes, there are exceptions if you're really very good mechanically, but I'm talking for the general player, for the average player who wants to improve instantly, right? Otherwise, if you're a pro player or a top tier player, you can win playing any formation and playing any style because they're so good fundamentally, right? But in most cases, you guys probably aren't. So first, focusing on fundamentals is obviously important, which I always talk about, but this video is a little different. You have to focus and play to the play styles, which is why I used Peter Crouch on the back post. Many people ask me, why do you use always a tall guy on the back post? Because if I will use a tall guy, then he will come up against a fullback. And if he will come up against a fullback, fullbacks are usually short. They don't have aerial plus play style. Then I will win most headers. And see, the way I am building up is the worst way to build up. I am rushing, so you should never rush in the game. Again, using the long ball pass plus play style from Bruno in combination with the player lock on the kickoff. It is a good way of just going through on goal on a kickoff if the opponent doesn't switch quick enough. Next up, we have to focus and learn two formations. Some people have a problem when I tell that, okay, you are using 4-3-2-1 and you're probably not doing good in it, change the formation. You have to change it if you're not doing good in it. I'm not going to talk about that, right? Because I have talked about it in the previous videos. But if you are good in 4-3-2-1, guys, there will be some players who are also going to play 4-3-2-1 and they will be better than you in the 4-3-2-1. No matter you're good in the 4-3-2-1, you might face someone who is better in a 4-3-2-1 than you. When two players are playing the same formation, it comes down to who knows the formation better, who is slightly the better mechanical player, and who has the better mental skill set. So now you're narrowing down the possibilities of winning that game. Instead, if you have a second formation like a 4-4-1-1, a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, then you can counter the 4-3-2-1, or at least you can surprise the opponent with a plan B. So this is something that you also need to learn and focus on. You have to use the play styles, man. See, Mbappe's rapid plus step over straight, I know he's on the last man. So I'm always looking for that, always playing for that. And then against the goalkeeper, fake shot, shot cancel, we score the goal, right? Coming back to the topic. Now that we are playing to the play styles and we have learned two formations, immediately we have put ourselves in front of the 80% players. Other than if we were to just randomly play, hit and miss, hope for a goal, hope for our pass to go through, then obviously we are playing to the chances and hoping, whereas we have to create goals rather than hoping for goals, like I always say. Here is the important part. I don't care if this video gets a lot of views or not, because what I am going to say is going to trigger a lot of people, and not many people believe in this. But people who have been playing this game, players who have been playing this game for a number of years, they know this and they know it for a fact. And high tier players already know it, and it's a fact that your mental skill gap takes you places. I will give you an example. Have you ever wondered why do you play worse after conceding the first goal? Why do you play worse after losing a game? Why do you do that? Is it that you have become a worse player in a matter of one game? No. It is because your mind isn't in the right place. What happens when you concede the first couple of goals? Now, you are not focused on the present. You are not focused on the next pass. Instead, you are focused on what will happen in the future, right? Okay, shit, he has scored 2 goals, and if I don't get this goal back, then I'm probably gonna lose the game. And with that mindset, your decision making gets bad Now you are not in the state of flow. Obviously, reaching flow state is something that not everyone can do in your average weekend league games, and I'm not advocating for that, but at least you're not focused on the present anymore, right? Because now your mind is either in the future or in the past. Oh shit, I lost that last game just like this. Consider the first 2 goals, then I made a comeback, then he scored the 90th minute goal. And now because you're not focused on the present, it will affect your decision making. And if it will affect your decision making, then of course your reactions will be slow. When your reactions will be slow, your tempo will be slow. When your tempo will be slow, it will be easier to get the ball from you. You will be rushing in defense. That means you will be pulling your players out like a headless chicken, and it will obviously be easier to score goals against you. Whereas when you're playing with full confidence, you're scoring the chances which you wouldn't usually score. You're beating players which you usually wouldn't beat because you're believing in yourself and you're truly immersed in the experience of playing the game. Even if the bullshit happens, it doesn't affect you on a mental level. This is what happens. I know it's not a good example, but how did Anders win 500 games? Anyone can have a bad game, even if he is the best pro player in the world. We have seen it, right? Have you seen Dosari in his prime go on these crazy streaks? No. Now every Tom, Dick and Harry goes on streaks. Back in the day, it was hard to go on streaks, which is what made Ender's streaks so impressive. But why did he do it? It is because he had this mentality, right, of never giving up. Even if he had 10 shots, scored no goals, and his opponent scored a shitty goal, he would just be locked in as if it was 0-0 and score a goal. This is a complaint I usually get from my trainees. Look, I took 10 shots in the first half. In the second half, he takes 1 shot, scores, and now I lose the game. I'm not going to debate if those shots should have gone in or not. The fact is, if you were good enough to take 10 shots in the first place, then that means you're also good enough to have a compact defense against that skill level. You are also good enough to create the 11th chance, create that perfect chance and score the goal, right? Sometimes 1 in 100 you will not be able to do it, but if you do it every time with this mindset, you don't let that BS affect you, you will play the same way and you will actually win that game. I guarantee you, I'm giving you a challenge. The next time this happens to you, I want you to record the game and see how you created those first 5-6 chances, which were really good chances. And when you missed them, focus on how you were attacking in the next attack. How were you defending after that bullshit happened? You would see that it is not the same player because now your anger has taken over you. Fear of losing has taken over you. You're feeling anxious. You're feeling like, oh shit, what is happening? This game is shit and stuff like that. Whereas your reasoning might be factual, but at that time, at that given time, you don't need to think about that. So which is why we say mentality is king. And if you are someone aspiring to be a pro player, then you really have to learn more about the flow state. You have to learn about staying in the present and what the present moment holds. In any sports or esport, it is all about the present. My coach once told me, should always focus on the next pass. Whenever I am focusing on the next pass, I'm playing so good. If you want me, I can make this video. In one video, I beat one of the top pro players in the region. And then in the next game, you will see me lose to a random Division 4 player. Why? Because I was frustrated when I was playing against that Div 4 player and I was highly focused in a good mental state. Even if I was losing 2-0 against the pro, I didn't care. Right? Because I knew I have the ability to win. This happens to everyone. It happens to even the best players in the world. But players who have this ability of staying in the present for longer period of times, having a broader attention span, they always go far. I mentioned attention span. Yes, guys, if you're someone who wants to improve at this game and you watch too much short content, then you should stop because obviously YouTube short, TikTok and stuff like that, it decreases our attention span. It has been proven, right? Everything in today's world is aimed at decreasing our attention span. So our attention span gets worsened and we do not actually progress as human beings. This also applies to FIFA, right? I mean, this is for aspiring pros. If you want to get better at this game, you need to have a broad attention span, really. So that is something you might want to consider. If you can improve your attention span, if you can improve your ability to focus on the now and stay in the present and don't let the BS distract you, and always reminding yourself the only thing that matters is the next pass, you will improve without touching the controller. If we talk about touching the controller, playing to the play styles and actually having 2 formations can also help you instantly improve without touching the controller. What do I mean by without touching the controller? Like you do not need to put in additional effort. Your current skill level will improve if you focus on what I have told you. You might be wondering which second formation should I play? Then check this video out here.